got to tell you, when I've been meeting with different candidates who are running for office, and it doesn't matter the politics and their political affiliation, Republican, Democrat, overall just dissatisfaction with the renewable energy siting compromise that came out of the last legislative session, and a lot of people just skeptical about wind as part of the renewable energy portfolio for the state of Vermont. And again, I wonder if it's like Act 46, where we have a different vision of Vermont than the rest of Vermont, because these things are getting passed in the legislature and they are being implemented in other parts of the state.
It's hard to say with wind is why it's become the renewable energy whipping boy. That maybe it's the projects up in the kingdom, and maybe it's Annette Smith, maybe it's the very well organized opposition to wind. That I have no idea. All I know is what Bill McKibben wrote last week, that we may have 17 years to do something about climate change, or else it's permanent. Right. And it's not going to matter whether your view is spoiled on those mountains. Those trees are going to be dead within a generation.
And how soon after, if all these wind proposals for different wind farms in different areas get defeated, do people who are really anti-renewable go after solar? We're already seeing rumblings of that.
Oh yeah, but this for the same reasons. Oh, it ruins the view. It eats up valuable farmland. It's they're not recyclable. They're not reliable. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
No, we have to decarbonize the economy. That's pretty clear. And if you don't like wind, and if you don't like solar, what are you going to do? Set yourself on fire to generate energy? You'd be contributing to the carbon footprint by your burning.
The views of Randy Holhut do not necessarily reflect the views.
Strictly my views on that. I mean, every source of energy has a trade-off.
Has a cost, exactly.
And if you're going to sit and freeze in the dark, well, then you won't contribute to the carbon footprint, but I kind of doubt you will.
Right, indeed. Randy Holhut, Deputy Editor of the Commons, always an entertaining conversation on these Friday afternoons. Other stories in the Commons coming up after the bottom of the hour news break. He was covering the Emerge Vermont meeting that featured former Governor Madeline Kunin. Some great stuff for the New England Center for Circus Arts in this week's edition of the Commons, and probably next week as well with their groundbreaking ceremony, Downtown Business Alliance as well. Stay tuned for more Green Mountain Mornings after the bottom of the hour news break. 50 degrees outside at 20 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour. Chris Lenois, Green Mountain Mornings, continuing our conversation now with Randy Holhut, Deputy Editor for the Commons, your reader-supported, award-winning independent news and views source for Windham County, free on stands every Wednesday, online at commonsnews.org. You can go there and become a member today of the Commons family, have it delivered right to your mailbox like I do, and do a lot of good for journalism here in Windham County and all the great work that you do each and every week. Randy, you have a byline on the front page of this week's paper going to the Emerge Vermont event with former Vermont Governor Madeline Kunin. I guess, first of all, since, their whole idea is to get more young women involved in politics, I hope there was a good turnout.
There was a very good turnout, and mostly of the women who are already in power in Windham County, including a good chunk of our legislative delegation. And it was kind of a celebration, because they've have been a lot of progress. Vermont is one of the top states in the country for female representation in the state legislature. Unfortunately, that translates only to 40% of the ledge. And there's still work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, and not really rising at this point up to a state level. Deb Markowitz ran for governor when Shumlin was elected.
Yes, she did.
Right, and then I don't know if there is another serious candidate for governor between her and Madeline Kunin, not having been living in Vermont.
Symington was in there too.
Okay, so somebody there. So there's been attempts, but never quite getting to that position. Sue Minter obviously has a more than even chance this year, but running against a formidable opponent in Phil Scott. And then on the congressional level, I was trying to remember, and maybe you can fill in the blank there, of the 90s when I wasn't living here. I remember Dolores Sandoval running in the early 90s against Bernie Sanders. But between then and now, have we had anybody seeking either a Senate seat or the seat that Peter Welch currently holds?
The only one was Martha Rainville.
Rainville.
And that was for Peter Welch's first congressional run.
Well, it seems like it's about time to have somebody make the bid here. And maybe, actually, I'll make a prediction right now. Whenever one of the current members of our congressional delegation, whether it's Patrick Leahy, Bernie Sanders, or Peter Welch, steps away, I predict the next elected member of that group will be a woman. I don't know who it'll be. I don't know why I'm going to do that, but it is about time, right? I mean, we have plenty of women who are serving in office here on the state level. You got to think somebody can step into the ring.
And that's what Madeline Kunin was very adamant about, and tried to make the point that, we do like these three, but they're not going to be there forever. And when one of them or all of them decide to pack it in, there better be candidates waiting to run.
Right.
And that's what Emerge Vermont's focus is teaching women the skills to function in politics. And because, as we're watching with, say, Hillary Clinton's campaign, the cards are stacked against a woman.
Yes.
Because of the sexism, the misogyny, and all the patriarchy, and all the rest of those big multi-syllable words that describe, women just getting the short end of the stick over and over and over again.
Although when I think about Emerge Vermont and some of the people who might actually be ready to take that next step to Congress, Emerge Vermont, do they consider themselves partisan? It seems like everybody who graduates
from
Vermont.
It's a democratic organization because they have fewer hang-ups about it than, say, that the loyal opposition.
Right, decidedly. But then when I think about prominent Republican females, I think of like a Heidi Schuerman or somebody like that who might have the name recognition to make a bid to unseat. Well, not to unseat. Say like one of the two senators retire. I mean, this is kind of what people are anticipating, the succession, right? Either Sanders or Leahy retires. Welch runs for Senate. That leaves the congressional seat open. Heidi Schuerman, I'm trying to think of who else might step in and run there, and I'm only thinking of her as a Republican.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank there too. But you look at our county's delegation. You got Carolyn Partridge. You got Molly Burke. You got Emily Long.
Emily
Manwaring, who's retiring this
right.
session, and Laura Sibilia.
Right. We've got plenty of women. I just wonder about their ambition beyond the state level. Especially you talk about Carolyn Partridge too. I see her being very happy to be doing the work on the state level. I don't necessarily see her having a desire to go to Washington, D.C. Somebody like Becca Ballant, perhaps, but she still might be a few sessions away.
Oh, Becca could, Becca certainly could go for the brass ring there, but I probably not yet.
Yeah, and she's got a young family.
Yeah, but she would. I think she would most certainly try that.
Yeah, I mean, she is your prototypical Emerge Vermont alumna, right? And
she is, and she's learned a lot from that, and from the courses, and Donna McCumber's another graduate of that locally, and several of their graduates have taken offices around the state, and their big focus now too for Emerge is trying to get more women in local government on the select boards, because it seems kind of shocking that only 20% of select boards in Vermont are, the members are female. Yeah,
participation on that level far lower than it is on the state level. And I mean, I think it's great that Emerge is doing this kind of work. Sue Minter, an alumna of the Emerge Vermont program, too. It was interesting. Your colleague, Olga Peters, after we both did a media panel at one of the forums for the primary on the Democratic side, actually made a reference, like you can see her training from the Emerge Vermont. And it's interesting to think that there are some characteristics. I haven't quite been around enough of the people running for office to find those characteristics. But Olga, who's very experienced in this now, seemed to be able to pick up on certain things that Sue Minter did in that forum that said, she's somebody who's been through the Emerge program.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt because of just of all the things all the obstacles that have to be cleared for a woman to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
In politics, and as two men who are married to very strong women, we appreciate we're smart enough to appreciate the strength of women.
Amen to that.
And staying out of the way.
Yes, indeed. Well, and we have strong women in this community, not only in governance, but also on the business scene here. You were at the groundbreaking yesterday for New England Center for Circus Arts. Serenity Smith Fortune and Elsie Smith, her twin sister, and timing of this, I'm sure not coincidental. The Q&A with Jerry Goldberg on the front page of the business section.
Yes, that was another in Jerry's series that he's doing for BDCC that we're carrying in our paper. But yes, circus as an economic engine for Brattleboro, and it sounds goofy, it sounds silly, but it is. And this is going to be the first purpose-built circus school in North America.
In I did we were doing the food drive up in Bellows Falls, so I did a short interview with Serenity before that we're playing this morning. We couldn't make it to the groundbreaking, but I had not realized that first imprimatur on what they're doing for North America. There's no other place in the United States or on this continent that you can get the same kind of training, the same kind of facility, and then the level of employment at this point already that they've already committed to. I really thought Jerry's Q&A with Elsie and Serenity opened my eye. I mean, he's been doing this all along too, right, with Holstein as well, really making you feel good about some of the efforts behind the scenes of some of these businesses and giving context to what it means to the community and the community's economy.
Well, classic case of the multiplier effect.
Right.
That people come here for this training, but they're coming here also to rent apartments, or if they're settling in, to teach at the school, to buying homes.
Yep.
They're maybe doing a little side work you see NECCA students as wait staff at area restaurants. They're buying food. They're working out in the gyms. You can always tell the circus graduates when they
yes. Yes, you can. And it is, it's the right demographic for the area, too, when, they talk about their own experience. There are people who went out and sought, ran away to join the circus, so to speak, but somewhere along the way, you want to settle down, you want to give back. People get exposed to this community by coming here to study with them, and then, I want to go back there. It's a little more affordable than the urban areas. The public school system here, all the public services we have, it really is something that I finally am seeing, because it's like, circus, okay, this is something that's popular now, but will it sustain? After reading that Q&A with Jerry, I do think this could actually sustain itself for quite a considerable amount of time. Yeah,
that this can become a hub for that sort of training, and plus the other factor of Brattleboro is transportation. That there's the train, and now there's two buses.
Yes, the buses
running between Brattleboro and New York, and now Boston.
Yeah, that's great stuff to be happening here. And then another story about another strong woman on the business scene here. That story that Olga wrote about the Downtown Business Alliance. They seem to have really found their footing now with Michelle Simpson Siegel at the helm.
Yeah, she's doing a good job in trying to make the group formerly known as BAB,
right,
Building a Better Brattleboro, into a relevant organization. And for the most part, people like to whine about Brattleboro and the problems in Brattleboro, but we are, as a town, are so far ahead of a lot of other comparable-sized towns in America. Our storefronts are mostly full.
Mm-hmm.
There's unemployment is reasonably low. Yeah, the rent's too high.
Right.
The cost of living is is pricey, but it's still not totally onerous. It's a good place to live, and it's a vibrant economy, and it's a lot better than a lot of other places in the United States right now.